were shouting out their window. I don't know if it was happy stuff they were saying or angry stuff, but I do know with their tone of voice it sounded angry, so I suppose it was a good time to turn this thing on for my own safety. Oh, there they just went the other way, so I shouldn't have to deal with too many issues. This is kind of the downtown area and people are congregated for the evening. So I'll try not to bug them. Oh, that's a piece of artwork. And I also brought along a plastic bag if I run into a bunch of different stuff. You know, like the recyclable kind. Yep. It's a horse somebody made. There's a piece of artwork further down over on the right hand side. Looks like it was made of glass like this too. I'd show you this piece of artwork here because it's really cool, but I don't know who the artist is. And I'm not sure how they'd feel about me showing it. Normally I wouldn't ask, I'd just take a picture of it, but since it's in the back of somebody's vehicle and not you know, obviously put up wherever it's supposed to go, it does look like a commissioned piece. It does look like something they would have here in Hood River on display. Oh God, that was a misstep. Those folks were pretty quiet as I went by. They didn't create any issues for me or threaten me or anything like that. There's not much chance this time of night of me getting any change out of the machines, but you never know. I don't mind eating peanut butter on a tortilla. That's what I got to eat for now. And I wouldn't have that if it weren't for two of the ladies over at the Starbucks, at the gas station. I'm trying to keep my eyes out for any change somebody might have dropped or anything like that. It's still pretty warm. I am getting eaten up by mosquitoes. It's mostly trash down here. I'm not seeing any bottles though. It looked like at least that part was cleaned up. So I'll make enough. I probably shouldn't have gotten that violin, but having it to practice with, maybe it'll help to increase my dexterity in my wrists again. It just hurts to play it. So I'll probably end up giving it away here shortly. I'm getting a heat rash right around my top of my arm right there, so I got a bunch of little pock marks. Looks like I'm shooting up heroin. Woohoo! I guess that has more to do with the sweat that's on the sleeve. It's because I use it for wiping my forehead. And then the salts, when I'm sweating, they want to mess with my pores and all that. Let's see. I guess I'll walk through this area. Fuck it. I'll go up the block. And of course, if I find any aluminum cans or bottles or whatever, I won't pick up the glass ones. That's a little bit too much weight. I'm kind of a ways away from my vehicle at the moment, and I don't want to be carrying all that weight. It'll fuck me up. It's bad enough that I'm carrying the man purse here. It's strung across one shoulder, so it's putting more weight on one side of my body than the other, which doesn't feel good on my back. But I'm still living through it. A lot of the parking meters are like this one, so they don't dispense change. Not that I've seen anyway. I've even tried asking them nicely. No, I'm just kidding. A little warm out this evening. It's a weekday night, and it's not Friday night, so there's not a bunch of drinking and ruckus going on. What the hell is that? Ah, it's a stick. Oh, that's cool. All right. Oh, I feel like a flipping millionaire. No change here. And the bugs keep landing on me. At least they're little bugs, not like that. What was it? Scorpion? I'm trying to remember the name that he called it. Not a rock scorpion, but I don't know. Bark scorpion, that's what it is. That thing was creepy and scary looking. Maybe I should have brought a container to catch one in. They're pretty cool. Of course, that's the only one I've actually seen. Shayna and Logan had one in their vehicle. That's freaky. Oh my god, it smells like really rotten cheese out here. Holy crap. Oh. I hope it's not coming from that restaurant over there. I couldn't go in and eat if it smells like that. That's just straight raunchy. Oh, I did got some change. If I get enough out of these here machines, I can go down to the Shell station and get something to eat. I got $1 out of that one. $1.10. Very nice. That's not enough for a meal, but it's enough to get something. I hope. Not at the Shell station, but I might be able to dig some change out of my car. I don't know. There's lots of little nooks and crannies in there that I didn't realize I had. And I keep finding more. So I guess it's a good thing I'm kind of a pack rat. Of course, it's not by choice. It's the environment I live in. I live in my vehicle. Everything I do has to keep that in consideration, as well as how much money I have to live on, how long that actually lasts me in reality, even with budgeting and with other people helping me out monetarily. And from time to time, people do. Obviously, not enough to make up for or compensate for the amount of money that it has cost for me to be victimized. Not even counting the taxpayer dollars, which is in the hundreds of thousands in Nebraska, and much higher in Colorado. You know, it's not cheap to lock somebody up. It's not cheap to deny somebody their rights. Locking me up in prison for crimes that weren't even committed and denying me the right to go to my court dates because I was locked up. That's fucked up. Nobody should have to go through that. But there are so many people that do. There's a lot of people out here on the streets that their only crime is being homeless. Their only crime is fleeing abuse. Their only crime. Why are these things crimes? You won't designate a place for the homeless to have their own village. For us to utilize the skills that we have and take care of each other. Matter of fact, you do everything you can to prevent us from being able to take care of our loved ones. If we're poor, you tell us that you will take care of it. You will take care of it. When I say you, I'm speaking about the government. You tell me they're supposed to do it. You tell our families that they're supposed to do it. But when our families go to those people to have that done, what do? They tell you it's not their job. Meanwhile, if it's an upper middle class white kid, well then maybe they'll listen to him and his parents, but only if his parents care. There are a lot of people out here on the streets who actually do come from wealthy families, or at least well-to-do families, but they didn't get along with their well-to-do families. Much of that had to do with abuse. The number of upper middle class people who can't keep their hands off their sons or their daughters is absolutely phenomenal. It's like the number of preachers, priests, bishops, archdioceses, the sheer quantity of these nasty fuckers that touch little kids. And you guys don't want to hear about that either. What did I just find? Equate, toothache, and gum relief gel. Well, I guess I'll take that. Won't use it on me, but if I run into a dog that's had an injury, that might actually help. Alright. We'll check the machine. Oh, no change there. Now, if I keep on running around and looking all of them, I'll eventually have enough for at least a soda pop. There we go. Nice. There's $1.25, 50. I think it's $2.25 for a soda pop down at the Shell station. So I think I have enough for a soda pop, or I could get, if I could find 50 cents more, I'll have enough to get one of them Java Monsters I like so much. Now there's my real addiction. I like the salted caramel ones, but if they don't have the salted caramel ones, I'll drink the vanilla bean. The only ones that Dallas would drink are the vanilla bean ones. So when I lived with him, I made sure I bought vanilla bean. I didn't want him wasting away to nothing, and I wanted him to have something to eat or drink that was non-alcoholic once in a while. And yes, I get that's not my responsibility and it's not my place to some degree, but I was living in his house. I needed to make sure that he was healthy. If he died of stupidity, like Rihanna Ingersoll did, what the hell was I supposed to do with all my stuff? And of course, that makes me sound selfish, but the thing is, it's not just my stuff. It's the stories of a lot of people. Their stories in their own words. And that includes a lot of people who are now dead. Their testimony can no longer be heard, and they no longer have the opportunity or the chance to repent. That's important for the ones that were Christians. I'm sure they didn't think they were going to overdose before they made amends. I got a couple extra batteries with me that I got at least a little bit of a charge on earlier. So I can keep on walking and talking for a bit. I noticed that if I already have my phone out, the cops won't usually stop, which is a good thing. Whenever I see them, I pull out my phone as if I'm talking on my YouTube channel, whether I am or not. Usually, as they're driving by, I'll be typing up on the phone trying to get it started just in case they do decide to stop and harass me. But I know that with them being aware that I record everything now, if they see me holding the phone, well, they'll think twice about pulling any more of the bullshit that they pulled with Logan and Shayna. Or that sick old pervert. That ain't cool. You know that ain't cool. Oh, I brought my hoodie so I can put it on so that I'm not eaten alive by mosquitoes. Oh, but I'm not wearing it because it's hot as hell and it's making me sweat. It's a trade-off, I guess. I guess this is basically just a filler video. In Boulder, Colorado, there's usually somebody to walk and talk with. Usually you got a buddy of some sort. Usually somebody that wants something, not always. There's a lot of those folks there that were really good to me and never asked for a thing. There's also a lot of them that I helped out that the more I helped them, the more they asked for. And it eventually got to the point for many of them where I had to tell them, hey man, this is how it is. You got to be able to come up with something on your own. If I'm buying coffee every day for you for an entire month and I don't have a job, now that was a tough one to explain. When I was working at a labor ready, I still didn't consider that having a job because they might not send you out every day. And of course, chances are extremely good that they're not going to pay you for shit. If you get a specialized job like a flagging job, like what Mobley had, or Stephen McMillian, you know, you can get paid $12 an hour, and a lot of you are like, $12 an hour, man, that's a shit job. Well, hell, it's a good job out here. People aren't going to give you a good job, mostly. Some people get lucky, and that's something that many people want to throw in my face, is these folks who got lucky. Well, what about this person? What about that person? Well, we can discuss the exceptions to the rule and how they relate to my situation or to yours, especially if you or I are the exception to a rule. But when it comes to basic humanity, you know, we're severely lacking here in the United States. We want to blame the wrong people. We want to go after people who are poor. The more poor they are, the more okay it is to victimize them. And of course, who would even go for that? Well, apparently a lot of people just use the media. The media tells people what to think, and that's what they think. And then they run with it. As if it's magically okay. Well, it ain't. Now that I got almost enough for a, oh God, I heard. No amount of talking is gonna make that not hurt. Holy shit. Sometimes these parking lots don't clear out until a little later in the evening, and then people drive off with they drop a few bucks in the parking lot. Not always. Matter of fact, not usually, but once in a great while they do. It's worth checking. And this is part of what being homeless is. Oh, that light went off. Make a wish. See, I know a little something about superstitions myself. I don't believe in all that crap, but if it makes you feel better, right? Like when it's 11:11, it's time to make a wish and all that jazz. Now, usually what I do at this point, I will drive my car up to the park and ride, and then I'll walk from there to the Shell station, especially if I got to go to the bathroom. That's one of the most important things about having a little bit of change to get something. You can go in, you can be a customer, and not feel bad about dropping a big fat deuce at 2 o'clock in the morning. Alright, wanted to let that vehicle pass. There's a piece of metal in the road. I wanted to make sure it doesn't go through somebody's tire. It probably won't because it's just a paper clip, but you never know. I've seen some stuff stuck in tires that you wouldn't think could get stuck in tires. You know the tip to a ballpoint pen, the Bic? It's a pretty soft and pretty flexible plastic. You wouldn't think that would go through a tire on a Geo Metro, but sure enough it did. Flattened that thing faster than, I don't know, it probably took about 10 seconds for it to flatten. I don't remember exactly how long it took, but I remember seeing the vehicle and the guy telling the story of how it happened. You got to pull that out of there. Well, all it took was a pair of pliers, but of course, because it was a ballpoint pen cap, it has a hole on the top of it too. So as soon as it punctures the tire, it lets all the air out. But you got probably a 1 in 10 million chance of it going through your tire like that. It's not a great chance. That rubber should be hard enough, and that steel ply that's within the tire should be strong enough and hard enough. It shouldn't separate. So I suppose the tires were pretty worn, they were pretty old, and it could have just found a spot, place where the rubber and the treads inside of it, the steel treading. It's basically a braided wire that they wrap a whole bunch of times, and it's supposed to make your tire slightly puncture resistant. But when it starts to separate a little bit from the actual rubber tread, you'd have a lot of problems with that stuff flying off. That's not all that cool to watch either. Well, it is actually. I got to see a retread fly off the car once, and it went up in the air, and then when it hit the ground, it just kind of folded itself up real nice and neat. I don't mean like, a pair of pants flying through the air and folding itself up into a perfectly folded pair of pants, nice and neat, but it landed nicely. And it double folded on itself as it landed, and it just kind of, because it was just a retread, and it was pretty thin and worn out. It didn't have a lot of resistance. Like if you have a regular tire that doesn't blow out just along that part, then it actually won't fold over on itself like that. It's too thick of rubber. And it's still got the steel tread attached. When it throws the rubber off without the steel, though, that's a lot thinner, and it's a lot more likely to do stuff you're not used to seeing tires do. We got a whole bunch of boxes all over town, set all over the place. This is some recycling stuff, and of course this thing was actually pretty cool, but they demolished it. It's actually pretty decent building materials if you know what you're doing. They also got the rest of, there's a chair leg here, and they have the rest of the chair busted up down there. Somebody could have actually taken that home and fixed it with about, 30 cents worth of shoe goo. Yeah, I'll show you the table. It's like a little bench table thing. Here's part of it over here. That's the top. No, that's the bottom to it. And then it's the Mountain Hood Railroad. This is a place I won't go. There's the rest of the little table thingy. Still got some usable or salvageable parts, but if you're going to use those things for anything, you really need a place to work on something like that. And you also have to have an idea of what you're going to make with it. I have no idea what I'd make. And with everything that I got going on and all the time constraints I got going on, kind of well, that's odd. Cops trying to pull a Yui in front of me. I guess they did pull a Yui in front of me. Oh God, my legs are about dead and my back is killing me. Bonjour. Alright, that's a gentleman on a bike I see probably about twice a day, I guess. He's always pleasant and always smiling. Waves, says hello or how's it going. He's pleasant. I like that. I suppose, not that anyone's going to watch this video, but I had a point to make, but it don't matter. I can't remember what it was, so it must not be that important. Plus, I'm pretty exhausted, pretty tired, in a lot of pain. And I will be glad to be back at my vehicle where I can sit down and have myself another peanut butter tortilla. I'm glad to have it. My car is extremely unsafe, but that doesn't mean I'm not glad to have it. I've been keeping my eyes out on this walk for change. One of the things I found though was a coin that says Pietros. So it's not American currency. Well, it kind of is. It's for a pizza restaurant. It's right over there. I'm assuming it's probably for video games, like an arcade or something. They had these coins back in the 1980s for a place called Tilt, and you could get coins instead of quarters. So if you were afraid your kids were gonna spend their money on drugs back in the 1980s and early 90s, instead of giving them money that they could spend on drugs when they say they're going to the arcade, you give them a whole crap ton of arcade tokens, and they can't spend it on nothing but the arcade, and they can only spend it at the arcade that the things are made for. So my stepdad Scott, when him and my mom met, he worked at a place called Tilt, and it was a arcade. And of course their coins all said Tilt on them. And sometimes people would try to put in coins from other places, but I guess their machines were able to figure out which were which. They used to have a video game I remember there called Afterburner, and I never had the money to play it. This was like the high dollar game in the 1980s, where all the other games were like 25 cents. You could play skee ball for 25 cents. You could play Pac-Man or Miss Pac-Man for 25 cents. But if you wanted to play Afterburner, it's this big machine that you sit in. It was like the first cool machine, and or the cool sit-in video game. It was the first one in the arcades, and it was fun at least to watch. I used to go and sit in it, pretend like I was a fighter pilot, and even though I didn't have the money for it, I'd move the joystick because I already knew which direction it was going to move everything, because it was, I don't know, I probably spent 3 or 4 hours in that thing overall, just sitting in it and playing with that. It kind of makes it look like you're playing it sort of until it starts flashing the game over thing at you. But that's my story about the coins. Video game coins. I'm almost back at my vehicle, and I got a bunch of cans I can turn in tomorrow, I guess. And although that lady didn't show up, there's the lady that I'm supposed to be talking to tomorrow. And there's that gentleman, Jacob, who said that he would try to help tomorrow morning. So since the lady who works at this gas station didn't come through, I'm not angry that it took a whole day and it just didn't happen. What I'm angry about is that it happens a lot, where I'm hurrying up and waiting, and life happens. I'm expected to understand that life happens, and I do. I just wish more people understood that the shitty stuff that happens in life, it does actually happen to people, not just to me. And a lot of folks, they want to pretend like all this stuff that's happening to them is horrible shit. That's way worse than, well, it's fucking trivial shit, most of the stuff they're bitching about. And of course, they expect me to believe them. They tell me, "Oh, Sean, you're the most honest person I know." Well, all right. Why didn't you ever come forward about that? When I came to you for help, why didn't you look at evidence? "Oh, Sean, I trust you. Oh, Sean, I trust you. Oh, Sean, I trust you." That right there. "Oh, Sean, I trust you." I don't want people to trust me. I want them to look at all of the evidence. I want them to actually take a look and find out if those things are true before judging me and passing judgment on me. Most of these folks out here on the streets, they won't help another person out as far as the getting disability and working on that goes. They all want help with their own, but they're not willing to help somebody else out. They want to talk about how somebody should. Well, each and every one of them could get off their ass and help somebody else instead of focusing just on them. It's called working together. It's called teamwork. It's why my predators got away with what they did, and I take the punishment. The people I had to work together with weren't exactly the working together type. They were the threaten to kill people but not follow through type. The ones who run their mouths and say, oh, well, we should do this and we should do that. Well, you guys aren't trying those things. When you say that you'd go kill this person or that person, you're not trying to kill those people. Me, when I say that I'd try to turn them in, I actually try to turn them in. Having to go in alone, just like most of these victims, for them having to try to go in alone, they get the same treatment I do. They get the same results as I do. And then they say, oh, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. I tried it once. And every one of these folks, I'm like, so who went in with you? Oh, I went in by myself. I'm not a bitch. Well, you got blown off because you went in by yourself, and you got fucked because you went in by yourself. Well, nobody else would go in with me. Yep, I know that routine. So why won't you go in with somebody else? Because nobody went in with me. Oh, yes. And therein lies the problem. You never went in with anybody else. So what incentive do they have to go in with you? If you're not going to help them out, what incentive do they have to help you out? Out of the kindness of my heart? Yeah, sure, maybe, but the kindness of their heart doesn't get them to fucking shut their mouths and listen. Most of the folks that offered to help me, they weren't trying to help me. A lot of them wanted help of their own. They were hoping somebody would listen to me because nobody would listen to them. It wasn't reciprocated. So I helped them out. Took them forever, and they still didn't come forward with the shit they should have. Shannon Alvarado, for example, when she was trying to help find her friend Marnie, it didn't take me much to at least say something, at least make a few posts. How long did it take me to post that up? Not very. I think when she told me about her friend Marnie, probably within 10 minutes, 15 minutes of having access to my computer and internet access, I was able to make a post about her friend Marnie who was missing. Jesus fuck. All right. Well, I'm back at my vehicle. Let's see, good to be with you. Thanks for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper. No victim left behind.